think it's important, first of all, to just recognize the sequence of events that took place on Saturday. And that being said, what started out was a very peaceful event. I don't know that I would even call it a protest in the very beginning. It was probably more of a vigil. Conversations were being made on the steps of the courthouse on Fayetteville Street. And then folk decided to begin walking. People do that every single day in this city. But then what happened was they stormed the courthouse, or the Wake County building. And they went up into the Sally Port. That changes things. And we as a community have to recognize that. That changes what was a peaceful protest. And then rocks were hurled at officers. That's no longer a peaceful protest. And none of us can afford to allow officers or citizens to get hurt, or residents to get hurt. But when it changed, we have to respond too, because then individuals are literally being harmed out there. And over the course of the week, we then saw where things changed again. And so the resources that you bring out at one point are maybe not necessarily utilized at a different point. And our greater goal is that we recognize, and this is everybody, there is a difference in rallying, there's a difference in peaceful protest, and those are separated altogether from sheer anarchy. And anarchy is not a pretty peaceful protest. And that is what you saw. And you didn't just see it downtown, you saw it throughout the city. You saw it in Midtown and North Hills. And you saw it all the way up at Triangle Town Center. I think it's a combination of things. People came with an intention to do the damage that they did. On any given day, you don't find that many rocks on any sidewalk in this city. So people came with an intentionality to do damage, to cause harm, to create anarchy. And we have to call that like it is. But when law enforcement, when these officers, when our community, that same community that existed before Saturday, can come out and do what we do best and work on those relationships. They're not perfect. And you've never heard me as chief say that. But when we do that and we find that place that we can talk and dialogue and make a difference, then you see what has happened over the last several days also.
And part of that was you speaking to.
And more often than not, when you hear what the mayor said, we're talking about race in the 21st century. It's still a prevailing issue in this country. And please don't think because I'm in this uniform that I don't get discriminated against. You know, what I regret as chief is that this had to happen under my watch, period. That the capital city in the state of North Carolina, saw this kind of behavior, and in some instances by people who don't live here. That's what I regret. That's what I regret. Because as I've said, it started out with people just walking. We had no reason to anticipate officers were going to be thrown rocks and pavers. That's what I regret. That anarchy came here to this city. That's what I regret. The Raleigh Police Department is an accredited department. And what that means in more instances than not is that our policies are far more stringent than others. These officers hear from me that it is incumbent upon each of us to police each of us. And they don't get a pass to pretend something didn't happen. There are consequences for that. There are no exceptions for that. So this isn't new here. Now, policy, is it perfect? Absolutely not. And what I believe will come out of the advisory board is an opportunity to further review our policies and make them even stronger than they are.